Greetings, greetings, family. We are live. Welcome, welcome to the Sister Shanice Show. To those of you watching near and far, we welcome you, we welcome you, we welcome you indeed. And so let me just make sure I turn it down in the background there. Absolutely fantastic. To those of you who are already in the house, welcome, welcome, welcome. We got Queen Najee backstage. Let's just add her to the screen. And as you can see, we've got Ma in the house. Welcome, Ma.
Welcome to all
How
of
you
you.
doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking.
Oh, loving the colors. Absolutely gorgeous. We've got Brother Kwame in the house. Rise up, Brother Kwame. How you doing? Take yourself off mute, my brother. And welcome. Let's welcome Brother Kwame.
Yes, rise up, Sister Shanice, and rise up, everyone who's watching. We are really glad for all the people who are watching, and we are glad to share in the knowledge which we have and to learn from each other. Thank you very much today.
Asheo, thank you so much. Brother Kwame was on my radio show earlier today. What a show it was indeed. What a knowledge our young brother was dropping on the show today. Rise up, rise up. Let's rise up, Queen Najee. Rise up, Queen Najee. Take yourself off mute and let's hear your voice. Rising up, our sis, all the way from Kenya.
Yes, usually from Mount Kenya, but today I'm actually in the capital city of Nairobi. So grand rising everybody to Sister Shanice. It's so nice to be on the show once again. Wednesday is my highlight, let me tell you. Greetings to Manyang, greetings to Kwame, greetings to Sheila, and greetings to my king, Dr. Abu. And also to all of you who are watching. Yes. To everyone who is watching.
Privilege and honor as always to have you on the platform, my sis. Rise up yourself and welcome. Let's also welcome Sister Sheila. Take yourself off mute. Rise up, sis.
Hi, I give thanks for being here. I am dancing from the rooftops. It's Wednesday. I'm here today looking at just having conversations around many people who are talking about what led them to their enlightenment or what led them to their liberation and to their knowledge that they are Africans. And many people are saying, oh, I had the speech Martin Luther King gave, or I had the speech Malcolm X or Marcus Garvey, and speaking about all these great people. And I thought that years from now, we are the great people here at Sister Shanice Show. People are going to say, it was on Sister Shanice Show. I had Magang speak, or I had Dr. Abu, or I had Kwame, or I had Najar, or I had Sister Shanice, or I had Sheila herself speak. And I changed my mindset. So it's an honor to be here. We are changing the narrative. We are liberating our people. We are adding to that voice. And all of us here, including the viewers and the listeners, we thank you. We are going to have a brilliant time. Thank you.
Yes, we are going to have a brilliant time indeed, Sister Sheila. And yes, what could be better in life than the messages that we utter today, living long beyond our years, transforming minds, opening up minds, releasing the chains and the shackles of the mind, and liberating our brothers and sisters to freedom. What could be better? Absolutely awesome, fantastic, bombastic, Sister Sheila. And let's rise up another bombastic man in the house. None other than Dr. Abu.
Voodoo family, voodoo all the time, you know. Voodoo to your sister Shanice, you know. Ma, Kwame, Queen Najee, Sheila, you know. It's a pleasure sharing this family, you know. And to all our beautiful family out there that log on, you know. It's only we can do for we. Simple as that. You know, so it's a pleasure be here on another Wednesday evening on the Sister Shanice Show all the time. More voodoo.
More voodoo to you as well, Dr. Abu. Always a privilege and an honor. Our sister, Queen Najee, Her internet is unfortunately a little bit unstable, but as soon as she's back with us, I will be putting her on stage again. So let's take this moment just to welcome everybody who's in our audience. I want to thank you so much for logging on to the Sister Shanice Show. As you come in, please do give us a thumbs up and drop us a message in the chat. Let us know that you're there. Tell us where about in the world you are watching us, viewing us from. You know, we hope that we have a global audience out there. So if you're watching us from Ghana, big up from Ghana. If you're watching us from Jamdon in Jamaica, big up Jamaica. Barbadians, big up yourself. The United States of America, big up on yourself. Those in the UK, KK, big up, big up. Let us know where in the world you are watching us from. I can see we've got Brian in the house, and he's saying, greetings, family, watching you from Kenya. Good to see Sister Najer back. Absolutely. It is indeed. And we've got Sister Afri Jamo in the house as well. Rise up yourself, Sister Afri Jamo. She's watching us from Ghana. We got Brother Obadiah in at the house, and I know that he is watching us. He says, Afrijamo, bless up. Sorry, bless up Afrijamo. We got a community, a family, you know, out here already, you know. Our regular viewers know each other and are welcoming and greeting each other as they come into the house. So welcome, Obadiah. Welcome, Sister Afrijamo. Welcome, Queenie, as well. Queenie is saying, blessed love family. I'm so glad I've made it for the live. We are so glad and delighted to have you in the house as well. And Sinovia is saying, greetings family. And Nylam is greeting us as well from Indiana. I don't think we've had a viewer from Indiana before. So we welcome our family from Indiana. Welcome. And here, family, please note, I've actually put in the chat the link to the All African People's Alliance Congress meeting that's going to be happening this coming Saturday, the 24th of July, 2 p.m. UK time. This is, you know, a really important event for Africans. We're talking about how we as Africans are going to be rebuilding Mama Africa. So this is a congress, a huge conference event that is about us, for us, and looking at how we are going to contribute towards the rebuilding of Mama Africa. So it's one thing to talk and have the discussions, and it's on another level to be putting, you know, what needs to be done in place, taking the practical steps to contribute towards the rebuilding of Mama Africa. And so we rise up, the All African People's Alliance. We're going to be talking about the Rapid Africa Plan, the plan to industrialize Africa and bring her into the 21st century and beyond within 40 years. So please do make a note of that link and do make sure that you join us. Another really important event as well that we've got coming up is an event that's going to be talking about reparations. Yes, we've got a reparations event that's going to be coming up on Sunday as well, and I will post the website link to that event as well. I will locate that and put that in the chat in a very short while. And before then, let me try and bring back our Queen Najer. Welcome, Black Sis. We acknowledge that you've got internet challenges, but we will work with it. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to go around the panel, and I'm going to ask each of the panel members just to highlight for us some current affairs issue, something that they just want to share with the family, just, you know, as we're waiting for the rest of the family to join us. So first of all, let's go over to Ma. Ma, welcome.
Welcome. I'm glad that I'm here. I'm always grateful. The older I get, I realize gratitude is something that is at the tip of my lips, because when I observe what has happened to our people, I know that it's a miracle that those of us who are still living are living. Because if we can think back how we got here, we'll realize that there were a bunch of people that sat in their own part of the world and decide that they were going to interact with each other by fighting each other all the time. And over the years, they fought each other and destroyed their own self, reduced their population down to by killing over 125 million of them. Once they didn't have enough people to rebuild their nation and had no resources, they sat together and decided that they were going to target people who had lived longer than they had lived on this earth, figured out how to live, that the best way to live is to be in a communal way of living. Targeted these people, went down to their land unsuspectingly, killed and took away lots of their stuff, and then blamed them for it. In that confusion, the people actually went along with the narrative that were given to them. Those people who did those things today are confused, but they want to make us believe that we are the ones who are confused. Once they killed so many of their own people, they had to deplete our own, and they did that very well. With the depletion of our own people, we didn't even have people to help us develop. Well, guess what? The women are the people that has given Africa another chance, because what did we do? We went doing what we do best, replenishing our land. Today you hear those same people talk about Africa, not because they recognize us for the wisdom we had that they stole, not because they recognize us for the power that we have, that we've been able to build their nation and we are ready to build our own if they will let us. They don't recognize us for the fact that we've been the longest people on earth here. We chose the piece of land that we chose, haven't lived on earth and been here first. They are recognizing us only as a source. No, they have come now and started recognizing us for what the women did, which is they replenish the land. The greatest wealth, power that Africa has right now is the youth. We'll not be talking about Africa as a threat to the rest of the world, if not of the youth. Because as far as the resources, they are there and they've been harvesting it for years. As far as tricks and trickery, they've been doing that. But the youth and the mindset of the youth that were not exposed to this slavery and all this wickedness is a threat to these same people. And I can only say that that is so because the African family maintained the importance of family and replenishing the earth, our part of the world, we did. And now we are at a position where we are looking at the weaknesses that they considered us having to become strength. We have our diaspora that has come, lived among them, understood all their tricks and trickery, able to argue them out of any stupid logic they bring up. That power and the youth who are ready to take their rightful place on this living earth are the ultimate threat and all we have. If we never get pay reparation, which I'm not saying that we should not, just by letting us be, we are going to replenish, rebuild, and overpass anybody, any type of combination. I have said it, take it to the bank. That's the truth.
Rise up, Ma. Thank you so much for those opening remarks. Brother Obadiah said in the chat that he would like to think that the men also help with replenishing, even if it's just for 15 minutes.
Okay, let me put it this way.
Rise up.
If by now the men are not understanding that in the name of the woman is included the man. So when I talk about a woman, I already included the man.
Ashe.
I don't have to do it the way the Europeans do it, where they talk about the man. That is a word
Yes.
that don't have the woman in it. I talk
Mhm.
about the woman because it includes the man.
Yes.
Ashe.
Thank you.
Yes.
Let's go over to Brother Kwame. Welcome, Brother Kwame. Let's have a few opening remarks from you, my brother.
Thank you so much, Sister Shanice, and thank you everyone on the panel. Um, I want to thank also our dear people who are watching us and our audience. When Sister Sheila was speaking um, about history, making history that somebody maybe one day will come and listen to us. Something hit me from what she said. Uh, I've realized that the media has sort of been, I can say, liberalized. So this is a chance for us, and this is what our enemies have not really realized. Actually, that now the media has been opened up, has been democratized because of this technology. When in the 1940s and 1930s, when the Africans were being sent outside and being educated in the missionary schools, others were going to England to study, others were going to the United States, people like Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, and all these ones, Robert Mugabe, when they were being sent to, those missionary schools to study, the colonialists did not realize that these are the very people who are going to fight them by these people gaining knowledge about them. So even today, they don't realize that we have now the power of the media. We can reach our people now and talk to them, and this is an advantage to us. And that is why I say that we have more resources right now at our disposal, actually, to liberate Africa as fast as possible compared to our ancestors. When you look at the figures, and you are looking at the Western media, there's some figures, Sister Shanice, which I put for you to share a little bit. The people in the Western world actually have lost faith in their media. When you look at it, you look at the countries like the United States, the trust in the media is just at 29%. Only 29% of the people. You look at the United Kingdom, the figures are in the 30s. So the people, they don't trust their media because they know that their media is merely propaganda. So because of this, we have even a chance. This is a chance for us even to reach out to their own people, because this is one of the tricks people like Dr. Martin Luther King used, that while he was fighting for our people, the blacks, he appealed to the whites, and this was the threat. This was one of the biggest threats which the whites, the white rulers in government, and they decided to kill him because he was able to articulate the predicament of the black people and then wrap it together with the whites. So he was getting a following of the whites and then adding it to our people, and then he was having a whole huge following. That is how he got the march on Washington, and then he was organizing another march on Capitol Hill, and that is when they killed him. So now, since the people, their own people, have lost interest, they have lost trust, because when you look at these figures that have just come out on 9th July 2021, trustworthiness of the media worldwide, this is 2021, that the United States is just at 29, the UK, and these are the leading imperialists, these are the leading neocolonialists in the world, but their own people, they don't trust their news because they know these guys are lying. They have been lying for a very long time. They lied about the war in Iraq. They lied about the war in Vietnam. They lied about the war in Afghanistan. They lied about the war in Libya. All these things, they have been lying. So their own people, they don't trust them. So we have this opportunity that we can disseminate out information to reach out to our people very, very quickly, and in a more efficient way, enable, for us to be able to liberate our continent and reach out to people with the right messages. For example, when we talk of the Rapid Africa Plan and how we should reconstruct our continent very quickly. So these are the core messages that we should be having. These are the conversations we should be having, that we need to reconstruct our continent very quickly. And we can do it because we have the resources. We have the people. Africa, 63%, 65% literacy rate. We have the resources, we have the material resources. So we just have a group of people who are standing in our way. Then we need to strategize on how to remove these people out of our way. And then I think we will be on our way to reconstruct Africa within the next, like, 30 years, even less than 30 years. We have seen the Middle East has been constructed in less than 15 years. Look at Dubai, look at Kuwait, look at all these countries, in the Middle East. In less than 15 years, 20 years. So we can do these things. We can build electric trains, which are being built in China. We can build planes, which are being built. All these things come out of the mind. We have our engineers in NASA, people like Dr. Mensah. We have a lot of engineers who are African and Black, and they are working with NASA, they are working with the Western world. So all these people, we just need to harness our resources, material and human resources, and reconstruct and then rebuild everything that is in Africa. We can't wait again for another 50 years. We should not wait again, and we can't wait again. We should not allow to wait. The time for building schools in Africa is over. That time has been given, and the people who are talking about building schools and hospitals, that time is over. People are going to Mars and the moon and colonizing. So this time is for us to build Africa rapidly, industrially, not to be talking about building schools. So anyone who's talking about building schools and hospitals, those people are failures already. We need to be thinking bigger than that, building planes, building electric trains, building our own electric cars, using our materials here in Africa. So I believe that we now have this opportunity in history. In all of history, we have never had such an opportunity that we can be able to reach out to a big number of people, our people, and speak to them. This is a history which we are making right here. The same way we was speaking long time, 60s and 60s are being. Right now, we are making history today here. And the next day, come here and they will look at these things and say, yes, even if we are not able to accomplish this, they will say, these people have shown us what to do. This is what we are supposed to be doing. And we cannot wait. I think we should not wait. And we will not wait as the youth this time for Africa to be reconstructed. We have to reconstruct it by any means necessary. Thank you very much.
Asheo, now is the time. Absolutely agree with you on that, Brother Kwame. Yes, let's make good use of the social media platforms that are available to us to reach our people. And I tell you, there is such an awakening happening. I feel it in my spirit. Africa is rising. Babylon is falling. We are making change on a daily basis. And we're reaching our people. We're speaking to each other. We're talking to our family in Ghana, in Kenya, right now in the United States of America. We've got family around the world that's hooked in right now. Please take the messages to your family members and friends. Tell them about this platform and do encourage them to log in. This is changing the making. What say you, Queen Najal? Let's welcome you with a few opening remarks from you.
Oh, okay, I was checking to see if you can hear me.
Yeah, we're hearing you loud and clear.
Greetings to everybody, and greetings to everybody who's on the show. So my opening remark this week is centered around a conversation which I was called into on the new app, which is called Clubhouse. I think you've all heard about it. And some of you even probably even have accounts on this app, which is called Clubhouse. It's a speaking app. It's not like video, yeah, where people have conversations about current affairs, about history, etc., etc., etc. So, as you all know, I am a historian, an Afro-historian, and I got called into what they call room. And this room was having a discussion about the movie Black Panther and about the place which is called Wakanda. And I was really wondering why I was called into this room until I listened, because what happens if you're called into a room, the best thing to do is to just listen, not to talk. You just listen. And they started, I heard the conversation and it really shocked me. And what they were saying is that there's a group of Kenyans who are suing the makers of the movie Black Panther because the storyline, get this, the storyline is from a particular Kenyan tribe, and they have stolen the intellectual property of this tribe. And the storyline is that they do spring from a clan which mentions Ujiro or Wanjiru. Yeah, and I'm sure anyone who's listening to me right now from Kenya is going to be like, that's familiar. That 9 or 10 women who do spring, one of the tribes which split off, because the storyline says that there were 5. There was a group of people. There was a nation, and it was split into 5 tribes, and the 5 tribes still live around the mountain today. Okay, and one of the tribes is founded by a group of 9 or 10 women. And they also say that they do have plants which restore life. There is a history of an earthquake which happened, and that there is a fact that when people pass away, that they do go into the spirit forms of both the black leopard and the rhino. Now, when I was listening to this, what the others were saying was that this is impossible, that there is no way that the storyline of Black Panther could have come from Kenya, okay,
the black leopard,
and that they're lying.
Panther.
Okay, and that they're lying. And this reminded me, just like you've said, just like Sophia Stewart Matrix, it also reminded me about the Egyptians. Now, the Egyptians in Hollywood, we've always been told that the Egyptians were white people. When in actual fact, we now know that the Egyptians were Commissions, they were black people. We also know that our history in Africa has really, really been stolen, because we have so many artifacts as an African people. And where are all these artifacts? They have whole entire bedrooms in museums in Europe. They have our jewelry, they have gold, they have pottery. They even have grave markers in their museums. And they've always said that, no, those are not ours, they're theirs. And we are coming to learn and find out that, no, what they have done, what the Europeans have done, and the Americans as well, because they're one big family, okay, they're all related, is that they have appropriated our culture. Like, for example, in Kenya, we have something which is called the kiondo. It was ours and it is ours, but it was taken away from us, and now the Japanese are busy trading with the kiondo and saying that it's theirs. What about the cloth from Ghana? Okay, the kente, what is it called? Kente cloth?
Yes,
Okay.
Kente.
Yes, they appropriated it and said it was them. No, no, no. It was ours. So continuously we find that they take our history and they write themselves into our history. And they say that it is their truth when it is not their truth, it is our truth. So I said that I was going to watch the Wakanda story again. And I asked all of us in Kenya to watch the Wakanda stories again. And people have been inboxing me and telling me that within the first 3 minutes of watching Wakanda, the Black Panther movie, the first 3 minutes, guess what? Just listening to the storyline, guess what? That story actually does belong to us. And that's a theft of intellectual property. So people, what this means is this. There were great nations in North Africa. There were great nations in West Africa. There were great nations in South Africa. We know about Great Zimbabwe. And now guess what? Great nations in East Africa as well. I'm Najana. My voice is just gone. Okay.
Oh, thank you for sharing that story with us, Queen Naja. Make I tell you this, everything them thief, when them come out of the cave, they not even have language. Yeah, everything them thief, they not stop thief for the last 6,000 years. Yeah, they've totally stolen our culture here in the UKKK. If we come out, you know, even with a new handshake, your new touch, a new high five, them teeth is so fast. They all, even Kenro, them say, them, Bo Derek come out with Kenro. We've been Kenro and I for thousands of years. You know, China bombs, everything them teeth. Them all come out your country and teeth your land. If your mind all sharp, them say them give you democracy and then basically taking away your land. Oh boy, so thank you, sis. Rise up yourself. Let's hear from Sister Sheila.
Speaking of stealing, there is a Kenyan dance called Chakacha, or Najari no Chakacha, and Miley Cyrus a few years ago did something called twerking, and they say she started twerking. This is a traditional dance. It's called a fertility dance in Africa. We've been doing it in Kenya all along. There is also during Kate Middleton's wedding to Prince William, her sister, who's called Pippa Middleton, who was her bridesmaid, her only bridesmaid, came and she was wearing a figure-hugging dress, and they spoke. The next day, the news was talking about her bottom and saying how pronounced it was because she does yoga. They were even saying that they were talking about the bottom, and I said they just need to look at African women, and then probably they will keep quiet. And of course, the other thing they talk about is baby wearing. In the UK, there's been this craze of baby wearing, whereby instead of putting the baby on the baggie, you tie the baby on you, in front of you or at the back, and there is a certain baby site that came up with it, with the baby wearing. In Africa, we didn't put our babies in the baggie or anything. We always wore the baby on us. We tied them, and now they're stolen even that. Anyway, my opening remarks, I will say them now. I am honored to be here, and I am a storyteller. And I believe by sharing our stories, we pass the message deeply. We Africans are a storytelling people. And I start with a personal story whereby a few years back, I had just finished school, and I went to one of these schools that was run by nuns, a convent. It's a high school, but it's run by nuns. If any parent here takes their school to a Catholic school run by nuns, take your children out. The nuns should not be teachers. Those are evil, spiteful, angry, depressed people. So anyway, I was coming from such a school, and I was very, very depressed, and I got into eating, just comfort eating, because this was depression, proper depression. I'd finished, and I just did not know what had happened to me the 4 years I was there. So I started eating, and we ran a shop. And in the shop, so I had access to all kinds of things. We ran a shop that had been sponsored by Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola had come and was giving you very nice deals to sell Coca-Cola to the people and the biscuits. And Coca-Cola produces a lot of things. It's just not Coca-Cola. So I had access to all these things. My parents had taken up this shop offer because it was very, very lucrative. but they did not have any inclination of how to run a shop, so they did not keep track of the stock. And putting there a depressed child who is comfort eating to run the shop means that she is going to eat most of the stock. So I ate and I ate and I started ballooning in weight. Next to the shop, there was a bajia shop, a chips and bajia shop and kebab shop. So we struck a deal with another depressed girl there that had also come from another Catholic school, and together we were eating. And before long, we were a group of this depressed young girls in their early 20s just eating themselves to obesity. And we became obese. And we would come together and we would talk about how the world was against us. And because we had grown quite fat in quite an alarming rate, very quick, and we were getting very self-conscious about it, but we were hiding it. We weren't saying we were unhappy. So we would be like, oh, being plus size is wonderful, it's great. We are real women, we drink this, as we scoff more food and get more and more miserable. We could go to shops and you enter a shop and you're told, we don't have clothes your size. And we live in the shop, go cry alone, cry somewhere and then finish crying. Get a few biscuits and Coca-Cola, comfort yourself, call a few friends around, comfort yourself, eating. So we had this group of young women, very miserable, very overweight, and completely talking about how the world was against us. And then a chance meeting, one day just a chance meeting with a personal trainer who, as it was, we started talking about weight and I was very defensive and he calmed me down enough to start talking and he told me, you can lose this weight. I run a gym. Come, I'll help you lose the weight. And at first I thought, I don't think I can lose the weight. I'm far too gone. Because even the conversations I used to get from my own group of miserable girls like me, it was like, we can never lose this weight. We are stuck with this. And also from the people around us, they used to tell us, and sometimes they would say, you're young women and you're already this size. You haven't even had children. You're already bigger than your mothers. And we were bigger than our mothers. I was certainly bigger than my mom. Well, I was eating more than my mom. Anyway, the personal trainer started giving me hope. And he said, come to my gym and we'll lose the weight. And he started speaking a different language to me. You know, a language that you can lose the weight, you can lose the weight. At first, I resisted it. But then he was very pushy. And I decided, let me give it a try. Years later, not only did I lose the weight, I also became a personal trainer myself. So I am a personal trainer and I train people to lose weight. Now, why am I sharing this story now? I'm sharing this story as a lesson to us Africans who can decide to take that point of being victims, of always coming and discussing problems. You know, we can be like that cohort of me and my girls, speaking about the problem, about how the world is against us and how this is miserable and all this and all this and all this. And then we can also come and discuss solutions. We can come and say, these are the solutions. As that personal trainer came and started giving me solutions. And from the solutions, I also met other people like me that wanted to be on that health and fitness journey. And as it was, I had to lose some of my friends because they did not want to join on this journey of losing weight and being healthy and eating healthy. So as we come here, making this history, us here on the panel, as well as the viewers, as well as the supporters of Galaxy Radio and Sister Shanice's show, what we have to know, we don't come together to come and discuss problems. And at the end of the day, we live with the problems or even add more problems to the problems we discussed, as I was doing with my girls. We would come discuss problems and reach for more Coca-Cola and reach for more chips and live even fatter than we came in. So now, we are leaving here with solutions. And Brother Kwame, big up to you with coming up with the Congress. You know, we're solving solutions. Big up Sister Shanice with coming with a show like this where we talk solutions. So as much as we are talking problems, what we live with are solutions, such that we don't come together to co-create problems, to add energy to the problems, to make more time and focus for the problems. No, we live with solutions. We live with solutions, and the solutions can only come from us. And the solutions, we're capable of making the solutions. So whatever discussions we have now and henceforth, and always, we are discussing them with the scope of coming up with solutions, not discussing them and then leaving worse than we came or living the way we came. We are here to come up with solutions. I'm looking for a wonderful, wonderful time of solution making. I give thanks.
Asheo, as always, we love your storytelling, Sister Sheila, blowing up in the chat there. Our family is just giving you enough fire, and loving the stories as well. Lady V says, brilliant story as usual, Sis Sheila. Yes, we need solutions. We absolutely do. And today we'll make sure we're talking about solutions along the way. And if you haven't already done so, family, please do book via Eventbrite for the All African People's Alliance event that's coming up this weekend. The link to that is in the chat, okay? I'll refresh it and I'll put it. But if you go up in the chat, you'll see the link that I posted. There's 2 events, one on Saturday, where we're coming together to talk about how we are going to contribute towards the industrialization and technologically advancement of Mama Africa within the next 30 years, be part of the change, be part of the movement for change. And on the following day, on Sunday, the 25th of July, we're coming together to talk about reparations, our demands for reparations, what our expectations are. And as you know, my brother Errol was saying today, one of our priority demands for reparations should be debt cancellation. That ought to be the first reparatory demand, debt cancellation. I said, you know what? Absolutely agree with that. So definitely on all of our lips, we need to be calling for debt cancellation. That debt, that what's called a debt that we supposedly owned has been paid for in our blood. That's been paid for with our blood. Rise up, family. Let's go over to Dr. Abu. Here's some opening remarks from our brother, Doctor.
Vudum family, Vudum. Rise up to all. Ma, Kwame, Naja, Sheila, you know, give thanks. You know, if I was to say to you that there's mothers going to their bed in this country, not even seeing their child that they give birth to, you would say that that's social service, ain't it? Yeah? Nah, it's not social service. It's what African doing to African in this country. You understand? It's what we are doing to one another. Family doing that to family. How can we sit knowing that my son or my daughter have a child with another person and sit down there not trying to get them together and we are fight? We have to set up ourselves. We can't depend on the court for our family come together, you know. A lot of mothers is going through a lot of things in this country. You understand? You know, because some of the families not taking the child because they love the child, you know. It's a social, they bend to fit. A lot of them is bending to fit over here, you know. Fit around the little, we have to, we talk about all of these things. We even going to talk about the death of people dead in Haiti, but we have to talk about the babies, the child, the mother, the father, who can't even see their child, man. This is not, we're not on the plantation, you know? So we have to be very visual in them time here because we can't have African family preventing other African family from see their children. We can't do that, blood. And then we got to talk about the war reparation. Eh? We have to organize ourselves as a community and start to put some of these family and social media that people know that they are a nasty set of people. Anyone who prevent family from see their family, we have to start to expose them. This is what I want. Because of the welfare system. You understand? A lot of us are selling out our people, tell life on them in the court and all of them things there. You know, see? There's some serious thing I go on here, man. You know, see? And I'm working with some people to start to name and shame these family. We will even go to their home and demonstrate. A full time we start do these things there. We can't have mothers going to their bed, not seeing their child that they give birth to. A slavery business that. I don't care what nobody wanna say. So that is my highlight. Not only for the week, because I go on every day. So give thanks. Vodum. All the time.
Thanks, Dr. Abu. Absolutely, we need to make sure that in terms of solutions, we're looking in the family as well, you know, to address what needs to be addressed. Black Cyber Network has posted in the chat that there are over 100,000 FBA foster children. What's the FBA abbreviated for? But I would imagine that maybe he's talking about our children who are in foster care homes. Now, you know, we know only too well the problems that come with our children being put into foster homes. It's similar to the story that our sister Sheila was telling about her experience of growing up in a Catholic school. You see, once you're grown up outside of your community, outside of your culture, growing up not knowing yourself and who you are, you know, growing up believing that you've not contributed anything to society, it's like making a soulless person of you, you know, and that's the most wickedest thing that anyone can do. So rise up, Dr. Abu, for reminding us of the importance of making sure that we get the family right, because from getting the family right, we can get the community right. And from getting the community right, we can get our nation right. And from getting our nation right, we can get our global family together and right as well. So it all starts with ourselves, and all then starts within our homes, and recognizing the importance of the family. That's a separate show altogether. Maybe we need to do a show on looking at how, you know, the outside forces actually influence the family, you know, and the extent to which the state and the extent to which how some of us conduct ourselves is destroying the family. Rise up, Dr. Abu. Queen Najah, were you signaling to jump in here? Or were you just agreeing that we need to do a show on that? Okay, rise up, rise up. Well, family, let's go over to the topic for conversation today, and also just to thank everybody in the chat that's been contributing to the discussion as we have been talking. We appreciate your comments. Can I just remind everyone to also give us a like if you've got a YouTube account? Please do give us a thumbs up so that we can increase the likelihood that this show will feature on more people's pages when they go into YouTube. Right, today, you know, we want to be focusing on Haiti. There is so much that's been going on in that country of Haiti, not just today, but has been, you know, for hundreds of years. But, you know, what we have to recognize as well with that beautiful, beautiful Caribbean island, Haiti, is that it is an inspiration, a revolutionary, inspirational Caribbean island to all of us. You know, we cannot mention Haiti without remembering the founding fathers like Boukman Dotti and Jean-Jacques Dessalines, you know, for their infamous revolutionary independent stance. And you know, it's wonderful to know that until this day, you know, their spirits, the spirit of Boukman Dotti, the spirit of Jean-Jacques Dessalines still, you know, remains live and well in Haiti. Such is the power of that spirit that not only has it influenced Haiti, but it's influenced the world as well. And some of us, you know, may be familiar with the Boukman Dotti prayer. If not, do Google it. You can get that prayer that he said at the night of that Voodoo ceremony before the war, you know, that defeated the superpower armies of the day. He defeated the French, he defeated the Spanish army, they defeated the British army. I mean, they slaughtered those armies. And as we know, for the last 200 years since, they have been suffering. Well, that prayer that he did was such a powerful prayer. You know, we were praying to our African gods when we saw our gods in our own image, you know, and such is the power of Haiti until this day, you know, and such is the fear that the European world has of Haiti until this day. They continue to oppress and to suppress the potential of Haiti. And, you know, we're all, I'm sure, very familiar and aware of the recent assassination of the former Haitian President Jovenel Moise. You know, it sent shockwaves around the world, you know, especially Caribbean islands. And that happened 2 weeks ago, back on the night of Wednesday, the 7th of July. A group of foreign mercenaries, they invaded his house, his private home, and carried out a military-style operation, murdered him, seriously injured his wife as well. Now, we know that the president was very unpopular at the time. We know that he had overstayed his term and that he was ruling by decree. We know about all of the mass protests that were actually happening against his rule and the claims against him for corruption. But absolutely no way whatsoever does that justify, foreign nationals coming in and assassinating a president, an African president. So as you know, there was a group of about 24 mercenaries, including 2 from the Haitian citizens from the United States of America, alongside a number of Colombians who, some of them were actually former soldiers as well. They were the ones involved in storming the president's home and carrying out this assassination. On the way in, we heard that they were calling out that they were part of a US Drug Enforcement Administration team and that it was a US raid. They overpowered staff and security. Probably at the time didn't know exactly what was going on. And, they let off at least 12 shots into the body of that president, instantly robbing him of his life, ransacked the house, and then the assassins fled. However, the police force, the Haitian police force, as streamlined as it is, within hours of the incident, had rounded up most of the alleged attackers. There was a shootout. Some of them died during the shootout. A few of them got away, ran for what they thought was, freedom or safety in the Taiwanese embassy, but never got so there. So the police went in and they got them out, and even the people, the local heroes, the local community got involved in seeking out the perpetrators as well. And many of us would have seen via social media as the local community, those brave heroes actually brought in a couple of those assassins as well. So today we're going to be looking at the situation. We're going to be asking, who was behind this operation? Who hired them? Who trained them? Who were these assassins? Clearly a lot of forward planning had actually gone into the operation. A lot of inside information had actually been provided about the house and the layout, etc. There was a large group of people who were recruited and financed to carry out this operation. So there was a huge financial investment that went into it. High-end weaponry was used. New vehicles were used. This operation was carried out with military precision. Now, we've already got quite a lot of information coming out. This beautiful thing about social media and beautiful thing about, a country like Haiti, they're not going to cover up the information to the extent that, we're used to seeing inside information being covered up by the West as they carry out their investigations. And so, we're going to be looking at this, and we're also going to be looking at what next for Haiti. So let's go around the table first of all and hear from individual panel members about their take on what's happened in Haiti. Let's start with Dr. Abu, because we've lost Ma and our brother and our young brother. Dr. Abu, let's get some opening remarks from you, my brother, regarding this situation.
Well, Vodum, I don't have any primary source to say, well, I know how it happened, but history, we can take a lead from history and know that with Haiti suffering the same problem as what we suffer on the plantation. When we are trying to run off the plantation and used to chop off of it and say we are suffer from droptomania. Yeah. Here is a country that seek their own independence, their own liberation. What do you think gonna happen if the African people is not thinking African? The reason why Haiti go through this is because the majority of African people is not thinking African. They're thinking European. You understand? And that's why we go through all of these things, I don't care if people may vex and all of them things there. If you go to your bed, ask Jesus and God to save you, then you're in trouble, blood. If you go to your bed and I think upon these other things, them, and because we shame for call upon our own African thing because we say it not popular. Well, go with the popular things, them. So we not pop out in all kind of backside sore and disease and all kind of things. Because we don't love the pop food. We don't love the popular drinks and all of them things there. And these narratives is what get us in trouble, blood. We know the history of Haiti from the French, the British, the American, right up to Papa Doc and Baby Doc. You understand? You know? But the things that they're doing to Haiti, if they never have help of the other Caribbean island, they could never do it. You understand? These are the things, my people. We can't dare a ball about what the Europeans do to we when we are run around with them in our head. You know, their narrative become our primary source. Listen, until we start to use our thoughts, you understand, to find our way, then we will forever in Wazungu maze. Vudum.
Vudum, Dr. Abu, precisely what this show is about. We've got to get back into our African mindset and, you know, do away with the Eurocentric mindset. Let's get back into our African mind. Sister Sheila, help to put us back into our African mind. Give us your perspective and your take on what's going on, what's recently happened, who's behind it, etc.
A few years ago, there was a footballer called Ashley Cole, and he was married to a British pop star called Cheryl Tweedy, who became Cheryl Cole. And then their marriage broke. And one of the reasons he gave for the marriage breaking, he said that the mother-in-law was constantly there, that they never had time as a couple. Her mother was always there, that even when they went on honeymoon, she was there. When they were at home, she was constantly there. And that his wife, Cheryl, was always spending so much time with the mother that anytime they wanted to have just couple time, she always said, let's bring mother, bring mother. So that marriage ended. And it ended, and he was trying to give that as an excuse why he cheated. There was some cheating involved, but he said the whole reason is because he felt he never had time with his wife because her mother was constantly there. She got married to another person, and the person also, that marriage broke. And again, the person cited the mother-in-law and said that the mother-in-law was constantly there. She eventually got engaged to someone else, and they have a baby with that person, some guy from One Direction. And the relationship broke. And once again, he cited the mother and said that the mother was constantly there. Cheryl Cole did give an interview at one time, and in the interview, she did say that her mother is her soulmate, that anything she does, her mother has to be present. It has cost her 3 relationships. And now this brings me to my job as a life coach. As part of a life coach, I counsel people. People come and they want coaching. And several times people have come, and in the coaching, they have spoken about one relationship coaching. I've had similar cases like this Cheryl story, whereby a man comes and he says that, please speak to my wife. She's listening to her mother so much, or she's listening to her friends, or she's listening to her pastor. We've got this Nigerian pastors for cults that sometimes really interfere with the marriage. They can really interfere. They can even take the wife away for 3-4 months and says, you are fasting from any wifely duties so that you can commit that time to God. And their husbands are suffering, and they say, please speak to my wife so that, you know, they can come back to the home. So you find that whenever there is some people, whenever there's a presence of other people in other spaces, there will always be trouble in those spaces. America is like this interfering mother-in-law. Whenever America has gone anywhere, there has been problems. When it went to Cuba, there were problems. When it's gone to Afghanistan, to Syria, to Somalia, right now in Venezuela, there are 2 presidents now because America is also doing something there, to Libya. So whenever America is this interfering mother-in-law that comes and sits there and just never gives that young couple a time to grow. Always sitting there, always interfering, always meddling, always domineering, bullying, basically. Being very, very manipulative, oppressing. So when you ask, what happened to Haiti? Haiti's president being assassinated isn't the problem that has started with Haiti now. Haiti's problem started a very long time ago. First of all, their independence, America refused to recognize it. The kind of information they put there about Haiti, like for me, all I knew about Haiti was the poor. I knew that it was a very poor country. I also had, there was a lot of witchcraft out there. And this is to do with the voodoo prayers and the voodoo rituals they did that, you know, obliterated the white people that were there. So we hear of Haiti from that angle, from the negative angle. And only for you to read more about Haiti or to listen to Haiti with the eyes, not with the American eyes. And when you listen to the story of Haiti and you actually see the evidence for yourself, you actually realize this cannot be true. Like, for example, if we go to the minerals and the natural resources that Haiti has, it makes you wonder, why are they poor? They've got some rare minerals that are needed by the world and cannot be found anywhere. Like the mineral, they talk about this mineral that is used for making cell phones. They have
iridium and coltan.
Yeah, and there's another called vetiver. Another one called vetiver, and then there is iridium, and then they have got the calcium carbonate that makes aspirin and makes antacids. Then they've got manganese, they've got marble, and of course they've got the copper, the gold. These are just the things that can be mined. Then we've got they've got bauxite as well. Then we've got the cost, and they've got usual, and they've got a lot of it. It's not little, it's a lot of it, And then they've got the coastline, the white sands, the blue skies, the warm weather. So that is also a tourist place, or a place for these movies of theirs. The white people like shooting. And then they also have a young population. Their population is under 25 years old, half of them. So this means this is a place where wherever the young people, wherever there's the youth, it means you have energy, you've got young brains, you've got a lot of imagination that can come from there. In addition to that, they've got a rich agricultural soil. The colonial terrorists went there to plant sugarcane, very lucrative because of the soil there. Right now, Haiti exports a lot of agricultural produce to America. Things like mangoes, cocoa, coffee, papaya, mahogany nuts, very many things. These are things that are being taken from Haiti and being exported mainly to America. Now, when you look at the population of Haiti, when you go at the demographics of Haiti, you find that most of them are from sub-Saharan Africa. Ironically, they say they are descendants of slaves. We must know that we were not slaves. They did not get slaves from Africa. They did not get slaves and put them in Haiti. They got Africans, fully fledged independent Africans, and they were brought into slavery. So the people that went into Haiti were not slaves. These were Africans who had been enslaved. Because when you call people slaves, what happens is that you kind of justify. You say they were already slaves. They got slaves from Africa. They did not get slaves from Africa. They got fully independent Africans, and they made them slaves. So the people that are in Haiti are not slaves. Those are Africans from sub-Saharan Africa who were brought to America through slave and made into slaves, and then sent into Haiti to go and to take advantage of the soil there to grow. Now, what we have to know is that the whole story, as Dr. Abu said, of Haiti has been told by the Americans. And the Americans portray Haiti as this poor, impoverished, foolish people that can't take care of themselves, that need the help of America. So America is always meddling. As I say, it's like this mother-in-law who's there to kill the marriage, to kill the love. This mother-in-law that never leaves, just sits there. And the only way you can make that relationship, if you're in such a relationship, the only way you can make that relationship thrive is tell the mother-in-law, get out. There's no room for you here. Get out and let us sort ourselves. And that is what has to happen in Haiti. Yes. Because right now, this president has been assassinated. This president was placed there by America. America has got this notoriety of placing people there that they can control because they know they're stealing from that country. So America is meddling. So whoever killed them, whoever killed this president, and whoever causes a lot of, as I said, the killing is just part of the problem. Haiti has always been having problems. America has always been at the heart of this problem. And of course, the French as well. Let's say it's just the Caucasian. They have always been at the heart of this place. And one of the problems why they put out so much hate and angst towards Haiti is because these Africans came in this place and made this place thrive. It is also because they were the first people to abolish slavery. And from that time, Haiti was the one place immediately you landed, you stopped being a slave. That did not sit well with the slave masters. And they are people that can hold a grudge for a very long time. As I say, it's like these mother-in-laws that don't like you and they will make sure that anything they do, they will always frustrate you. That is American. So for Haiti and any other countries that America is always getting in, the only way forward is to get rid of this meddling, interfering presence of a country that should not be there. You get rid of that, you get rid of them and say, get out, get out. You start working on your solutions. But you cannot work with their solutions with them there, or worse, you cannot work with your solutions going to them to say, come and help us restore peace. It cannot work. I give thanks.
We give thanks to you, Sister Sheila. Absolutely agree with your, analysis of the situation there and recommendation for a solution. We have seen, these Western and European governments constantly and persistently interfere and undermine, the efforts of Haiti to stand on its own 2 feet. They brought cholera, killing tens of thousands of people and making hundreds of thousands ill. They flooded the markets with rice and, almost crippled their rice industry over there to make them dependent on America for rice and an American for other produces. The list goes on. Let me bring in Brother Kwame Gonza at this time. Brother Kwame, let's hear from you regarding the situation in Haiti.
Thank you so much, Sister Shanice. I want to thank Sister Sheila, who has explained things really, really very well. I have also a lot to add, and I will try to be as fast as possible. Haiti's situation, I think it should concern all Africans or around the world, starting from the continent, the UK, and everywhere. Anyone who's black, so-called black, is an African. From the quote which Dr. Nkrumah said that all people of African descent, whether they live in North or South America, in the Caribbean, or in any part of the world, are Africans and belong to the African nation. And he said also that we are Africans. I am an African, not because I was born in Africa, but because Africa was born in me. So it is not difficult, or it is not, you don't need magic to go to Haiti and see that these are Africans. Even when you see them on TV or you interact with them and you look at them, you can see that these are Africans who were taken from here and they are living on the other side. And we have to understand what is at stake here. What is at stake is the reputation of the African people right now. That is what is at stake. The killing of President Moise is not the first. That is what we have to understand also. We have seen these things repeated over and over and over. We saw President, Patrice Lumumba, the Prime Minister in 1960 of the Congo, outright murder, which, the whole world witnessed. Belgium, the United States, the United Kingdom, all of them. The papers have come out now. President, we can see what was done to President Kwame Nkrumah when he was deposed. Files have come out. Like Sheila was saying, the United States was in, the CIA was in there. The documents are out even now that we have seen these things happen. President Aristide, even himself, who was there in Haiti, was kidnapped by the United States. The United States, he was kidnapped because he was doing a lot of good in Haiti. President Aristide came to power for the people. He came when there was around 34 secondary schools in Haiti. He expanded that number to almost 138. He was for the people. He had a heart for the people. The United States, what he saw that is good for it is to kidnap the president and remove him from Haiti, send him to Central African Republic, and then from Central African Republic, they sent President Aristide to South Africa. They don't want him to be in Haiti because he was doing good things in Haiti. So America, the United States, has always treated Latin America as its backyard. So it thinks, you know, we all heard of this Monroe Doctrine, whereby they treat Latin America as their backyard. They treat it as their garden. And this thing has been extended also to Africa. We can see that the United States has planted military bases all over the continent of Africa, in Kenya, South Africa, Ghana, Uganda, everywhere they have planted, Niger, Mali, everywhere, Senegal, they have planted military bases all over. So they are trying to treat the Africans and their lands, the lands of the Africans, as their gardens, the gardens where they extract the minerals and go and build, you know, corporations. They have built up corporations. They have built Apple. Apple is now $1 trillion. You know, it was the first company to reach, I think, $1 trillion. They have built it out of the resources from the Democratic Republic of Congo. The bombs which were dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, that uranium was got from the Congo. So this is how they want to treat the African people. But we also have to remember that there is a group of collaborators who are working with them. And this is historical. This has been historical. When we go back to slavery, there's a group of people who were collaborating with the people who were taking our people as slaves from the continent. And these were the chiefs that time. These were some of the corrupt, very corrupt groups of people who called themselves, businessmen that time. It was the businessmen. So after slavery was abolished, then this type of people was made irrelevant, and this was transferred to the time of colonialism. When we come to colonialism, also there's a group of people who collaborated, to help the colonialists to administer the colonies. But after the abolition of colonialism, these people transformed themselves in some way and they continue to benefit. So now we are in this era of neocolonialism. There is still a group of people which we have to understand that are continuously, they have continued, to collaborate with the colonialists, all these neocolonialists, and then continue to exploit the African people and the resources. Now, President Moise had his struggles, like we discussed in the morning on Galaxy Afiwi. There's always sides to the story. I always like to. I believe that to be a good judge, you have to listen to all the sides of the story, and then you make, a solid and good judgment from all the sides. When you listen to President Moise himself in an interview he did around 2017 or 2018 with Al Jazeera, you can see that he was pointing out that he came to power and there is this group of people who have intertwined themselves with the state and they have captured the state. So he said that Haiti is a captured state, is a nation that has been captured. So it cannot function on behalf of the people. So who has captured this state? Is this group of bourgeois people, bourgeoisie, is the businessmen, the richest people in the country. And these people can even be counted. But how do they work? These people, they work with the bourgeoisie in the metropolis. When I talk of the metropolis, I mean Washington, the United States. I mean Paris, because this is where they keep the.
Oh, what's happened to our brother? He's frozen mid-flow. We will come back to our brother Kwame Gonza in a very short while. Wow, he was just breaking down for us, just got to the point where he's talking about the bourgeoisies and the neo-colonialists in Haiti. Ma, good to see you back. Let's bring you in and we'll go back to brother Kwame when he's when you finish?
It is always beautiful to come at the end, because the end of brilliant people who talk like we have our panel, because they cover all the things that you were going to be talking about, such that when they get to you, you just have some limited touch-ups to contribute. When I was preparing to answer the question that is our topic, who assassinated the president of Haiti and what is the way forward for Haiti, I decided to watch a YouTube video. The reason I decided to watch that YouTube video was because I didn't think that the reason that that question was the topic of our thing was so that we become detectors and go around trying to figure out how we're going to figure out who killed and what not. I knew there was more to it. So I decided to just watch the history of Haiti, and many people had different stories about Haiti, but there was this one guy who talked about Toussaint Overture. He gave a short story about this great African fighter, liberator, Toussaint Overture. And when I listened to all what they had to say about how great this guy was and how he did and how he was strict and all of this, I then came back to answer this question, and I came up with one angle that I was going to blame for who killed. I said the climate. I came up with the climate killed the president of Haiti. What I mean by the climate killing the president of Haiti was because I started looking at what is wrong with us Africans when we have proven that it is not beating these people in this their violent game that we lack. They are, like Sister Shini said, they beat the British, the French, the Americans, they beat the Spanish, they beat all these people for 12 years of fighting. So it is not beating them that is the problem. The problem is that we have not recognized that our weather, that if you look at where all Africans dwell, they are warm places. They are warm places. I mean, I was surprised when I went to South Africa and saw that they had winter. I was really shocked. But in general, Africans occupy the warmer parts of the world. And that warm part of the world creates in them the tendency to want to relax and go back to relaxing once they've beaten their enemies. And that aspect of the African causes them never to recognize that their enemies has a permanent problem. Their permanent problem is that they have scarcity. They do have scarcity. They have to worry about the winter months, how they're going to eat. They have to worry about things that we give them a consciousness of constantly being alert, perfecting their military might, never letting you off the hook. No matter what you do to these people, they have a consciousness of keeping their eye behind you. And since they started repairing themselves, you remember when I started my introduction, I talked about them fighting for 116 years and killing 125 million of their people. That consciousness that they develop from there doesn't permit them to deviate from the job of ever staying behind and harvesting from us. So our climate is what makes us go back to this laissez-faire attitude. I hope you understand that's French, of course. Attitude of relaxing once you think you've accomplished. There's no accomplishing with these people. So our climate needs to, somehow we need to come up with a way of training our people to recognize that this is an everlasting burden. That once we defeat them, we have to stay alert behind their backs to waylay them. Well, I'm using my own broken English here. To stay like this. You know, they say, keep your friends closer, but your enemies even closer. Because you have to be monitoring and seeing what they are doing. That is what killed that president. The fact that the Africans have not yet have that mindset. So whenever they have a victory, they go back to the situation where they don't gather all of them together to say, hey, we have a formidable enemy that will never let us go, because bananas don't grow in their part of the world, cocoa don't grow in their part of the world. They are going to need to keep eating these chocolates and all this stuff, and we are the target. So I make that to point out that our consciousness that is defeating us is the consciousness of abundance. That comes from our climate. So going forward, what do we have to do? I was thinking about that. Of course, we know they have the military might, and they don't hold back when it comes to developing that. So if that's the way we were to go, I'm not saying that that's not also an option, but that will not be the initial way we go about looking at this. The way I have come up with to help as a way going forward is we need to do what they do to us. All those, remember last time I said CEOs, those presidents are their allies. They are black-skinned people like us, but they have a mindset like theirs, and they are willing to do their bidding inside our land. So those are the enemies within. We need to have enemies and friends within. We need to have enemies and friends within their own part of the world, and sell our own ideology to these people. Because if you really look at the Europeans, before they came to abuse us, they abused their own first. So the class that abuses have no friend, not in them, not in us. Their masses are a harvesting ground just as much as we are a harvesting ground. So
Yes.
to recognize that aspect as being our way to be able to defeat them. They are using that same method on us. Those our brothers and sisters who are the military carrying guns for hire for them, they have the same people in their own venues. They do. We need to master the art of getting those people to be our allies. Because you guys can accept with me that even though we did a greater part to abolish slavery, we had help with some of their own people who had a conscience enough to say, what you guys are doing to the black people is not acceptable. So the way forward for this fight in Haiti and all the rest of the African nation is for us not to be isolationists. We need to recognize the power that dwells in all humanity and harness from them the power that we need to join with ours to hold down the so-called lords and the elites that have created the universe that we all dwell in. Ashe.
Ashe, Asheo, Ashe. We have a tendency, once we think we've won the war, to just relax and become complacent. We don't recognize the new faces of war. You know, is it that we don't recognize that war comes in a multiplicities of ways? economic wars, you know, through medicines, through vaccines, you know, weapons of mass destruction, weapons, biological weapons? Is it that we don't recognize that we're still at war? Also, is it that we don't know who our enemies are? You know, why is it that we continue to allow our enemies back into our own backyard? Not even the backyard, to sit down with us in the front room. You know, how is it we don't know who our enemies are? You know, what is our problem in that regard? Anyway, let me go over to Najir, and then we'll go back to Brother Kwame so he can pick up where he left off. Queen Najir, let's bring you in.
Okay, so I'm going to say thank you, and I'm going to pick up a thread that Sister Sheila dropped, because she began by talking about interference, and Haiti has had a lot of interference of late, yes, from the US. And if we go back to the continent of Africa, we will also see that those who have been assassinated by the CIA, and they've also been assisted by people and those who are closest to the presidents who have been assassinated.
Yes.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate over here. And the reason I'm going to play devil's advocate, and where I'm going to throw this in, is because of a tweet that I saw. And the tweet said, you know what the tweet said. It said, "Oh, my husband has been shot. And this is Moise's wife, the First Lady." And then later, we find out that she was also shot. And we assume that she was shot at the same time. So let me ask you something. How do you send a voice tweet when your husband is being shot, and then you're also shot, and you're wounded, but you can still send a voice tweet? So I'm playing devil's advocate here. Another thing which we have forgotten is that in February of this year, and for, is it a year now? We have suddenly, as a Black collective, forgotten that this country was crying out, that the people of this country, Haiti, were crying out to the whole world. And what were they crying about? That they wanted Moise to step down. And I'll read over here. Let me get my glasses. Okay. Okay. That there was a human rights group which accused Moise's government of outright collusion with gangs in a Port-au-Prince shantytown. The report was entitled "Assassinations, Ambushes, Hostage Takings, Rape, Arson, Home Invasions." Okay, and we also know that Moise himself, the late president, okay, had allowed the Haitian legislature to lapse and has been ruling by decree for more than a year. He was also trying to amend the constitution to permit consecutive presidential terms, which were outlawed. Now, you're all going to say it doesn't matter, he's dead. No, it matters. So he had also thrown into prison many people. And you can all go and read these facts. They're there, they're not hidden, okay? So he had continuously said that, oh, so-and-so wants to assassinate me, so he had thrown them into prison. Then you have the elites suddenly, right? And these elites, they want to keep things, well, let's say they want to keep things in a kind of a balance, because they want to continue with the status quo, which is selling themselves out, okay? Who would you approach if you want someone to die? You approach the president's best friend, you approach the president's wife, you approach the president's, you know, because there were rumors that probably Magafuli's best confidant was involved in his death. So let us talk about who actually was behind this assassination. Remember that this was long time coming, and that it may have been Madam President. I'm just playing devil's advocate over here. I'm Nadia and I'm done speaking.
Rise up, sis, playing devil's advocate. You know, our history, and Kwame, you know, touched on it earlier as well, has shown us in a whole succession of assassinations that quite often it's the people closest to those presidents who have been involved in their assassination. And very interestingly as well, there's been another development in Haiti within the last couple of days. As you know, immediately after, well, the day before the assassination, they had lined up Minister, what was his name, Henry. He had just been lined up to become the president. And so at the time of the assassination, you know, those who were watching the political situation, or those who would have been involved in, you know, trying to select the president, would have felt confident that the next person to stand up would have been this man, Henry, who's a 71-year-old African. But immediately after the president was assassinated, we had Minister Claude Joseph, didn't we, who stood in and said, well, actually, Henry hadn't been sworn in, so he's not the official president. Yes. And he took up presidency, didn't he, within the country? And, you know, for the last couple of weeks has done an incredible job. When you consider that a president has just been assassinated, the country could very quickly have just, you know, turned into chaos. But he kept that very tightly under control. Anyway, apparently it was announced yesterday that the acting president, Claude Joseph, he decided to step down. He said, for the good of the nation. What do you mean about stepping down for the good of the nation? Well, in an article, it said that there were key international diplomats who were refusing to support Henry, who were refusing to recognize him as the president. Because why? They wanted 71-year-old. They were refusing to recognize Claude Joseph because they wanted the 78-year-old man, you know, to become the president? Who are these international people who are outside dictating to Haiti who they're prepared to recognize and who they're not prepared to recognize? Does it not sound very familiar? Does it not sound very much like the situation in Venezuela? Very similar. Let me bring in Brother Kwame.
Very.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sister Shanice. Sorry, my network was kind of disturbing.
We understand.
It broke down. What I was saying is that I think is necessary for us to understand all the sides so that we can analyze this situation very well. There's certain tools which we need in analyzing, because imperialism and has advanced itself to the form of neocolonialism, whereby it has become very sophisticated in the way it works. And one of those ways is a lot of misinformation. It puts out a lot of information out there. That is why when we were starting, I showed you that even their own people have lost faith in their media houses. Like when you go to the United States, it's just 29% people who trust the media and the news. So why is this? It's because imperialism and the elites have now become very sophisticated in how, you know, they perpetuate their rule, the control of the world. Like, for example, you look at 1% of the world, they own almost 80% of the wealth. They control almost 80% of the wealth in the world. You see, so it is unbelievable. How do they do this? How are they able to achieve this? Because they put out a lot of information out there to confuse people. But I would like to refer our people to two books, which I know very well that can explain what is happening today. The book on Haiti's history, called the book is called Black Jacobins, which was written by C.L.R. James, the Black Jacobins. And then there is another book called Class Struggle in Africa, which was written by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. In this book, Class Struggle, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah breaks down what is really happening today. What is happening today is that we have a group of people, like I was trying to explain, who have aligned themselves with the Western powers, with the imperialists, in order to exploit or to keep their own people, the masses, to keep the masses of the people in subjugation and in exploitation, in continuous exploitation. Because what did Magufuli demonstrate? Magufuli demonstrated that there was exploitation. Okay, this is the problem which he wanted to solve. When you look at the UN report last year, which came out, I think it was around September, the report said that Africa is losing around $90 billion every year to illicit financial outflow. But that figure actually is understated. That is an understated figure. The real figure is around $200 billion. When you take $200 billion from a continent like Africa, which is having a problem of infrastructure problem, our infrastructure deficit is the same as that amount, which is $200 billion. Africa's infrastructure deficit is $200 billion every year. So, and we know very well that for there to be economic development, we need the infrastructure. We cannot spark, economic development without the infrastructure. So if this money is being stolen from us every year, $200 billion, then we cannot have economic development. And we have a group of people who are aiding this stealing. These are the people who are so-called the presidents. Okay, so the people who are sitting in power now, and we have another group of people who are working for these multinational companies. For example, companies like Newmont, Standard Chartered Bank, okay, Stanbic Bank. These are all foreign banks which are exploiting Africa and taking all the money, because when you trace these banks, their owners are in Europe, Canada, sitting there. Okay, companies like MultiChoice, DSTV, you know, when you trace their owners, they are in Europe sitting while the exploitation is going on. So we have a group of people who work with them. So this is what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah identified in the book called The Class Struggle in Africa. And he separated and he showed us how we should approach the approach which we are supposed to take in fighting against this kind of exploitation. Because in this group of people, there's those people who are friendly, who will be friendly to the masses. So we have to align ourselves with that group of people. Now, what did Magufuli identify? He identified this illicit financial outflow. This was the biggest problem. The biggest problem in Africa is not corruption, is not human rights, is not whatever rights, immediate rights or whatever, goat or whatever, chicken rights, is not. The biggest problem in Africa is the illicit financial outflow and the resources that are being extracted from Africa. Our resources are going out to benefit Paris. Our resources are going out to benefit Washington. Our resources are going out, you know, and then they sell us junk. They send here second-hand clothes. All these things, Professor Lumumba has been talking about it. How can we accept selling second-hand clothes? We saw this, that East Africa as a community, East African community, it came together and it was putting a ban on second-hand clothes. The United States came out to try to bully, you know, that if they try to stop buying second-hand clothes from the United States, this and these sanctions, and they will cancel the AGOA, all these things. So President Magufuli identified that the illicit financial outflow is the problem. And then that illicit financial outflow is being carried out by a group of people who are intertwined in the government itself, the government of Tanzania itself. So that is the group which is corrupt, because that group is corrupted by these multinationals. And one of those multinationals, which I'll point out, is called Barrick Gold. Barrick Gold is a company from Canada. And there is another company which they're working together is from Britain. Okay, those are the ones which are mining gold. They were stealing gold from Tanzania, and they were packing it in containers and sand and taking it out of Tanzania. So when Magufuli identified this, he said it cannot continue. We have to bring these people to the table, and we have to bring them to book. So he brought them to the table, he renegotiated, and even in one of the speeches, President Magufuli said that they said that we cannot, you know, negotiate with the whites. They said that we cannot beat them at negotiating, you know, because the whites have this bragging, thinking that they are superhuman, or some sort of, you know, more intelligent than us. But he was able to beat them, and they were able to pay the taxes which they had been evading. Mm-hmm. He was able to take, you know, in the gold mines, take shares in the gold mines. Okay, take shares in the gold mines, 16% belonging to the government, and they set up, you know, a company for the government where the government will be taking shares in the gold. So it stopped the sending of gold. They started building a gold refinery in Tanzania. They started, even by the time he died, they are building about 2 gold refineries. So through this money, the wastage of these corrupt officials in the government, even themselves, he cut it off. Unnecessary traveling outside, you know, he cut it off. So you can see that he was able to raise money, build a 2,000 megawatt hydroelectric power dam. Just to tell the people what a 2,000 megawatts hydroelectric power dam is, Uganda alone, it produces all the energy from all the energy sources it is producing. It's producing around 1,400 megawatts with all the new dams it has. And Magufuli, without borrowing a single coin, was able to construct a 2,000 megawatt dam.
Okay. Rise up the memory of our president, the late, great Magufuli. Because of time, we are literally 15 minutes away from the top of the hour. So we are going to do some quick rounds now. And, you know, the time just goes by too too quickly. So thank you so much, Brother Kwame Gonza. I knew there just wouldn't be enough time for you to lay out your whole spread. Hence why he was on the show earlier today. And I'm going to try and get that audio out today as well. But you're absolutely right. You know, Africa is just bleeding at the moment with losses that could be put back into building the infrastructure of the country. And what we're seeing is that the wealth of the country is being distributed among those, you know, non-Africans. And what we want to see is the wealth of Africa being distributed for the benefit of Africans. Why should Africans have to rely on aid and secondhand clothing when the continent is just so rich beyond measure? And for those who are like banging the drums with this narrative that Africa is poor and Africa is poverty stricken, it suits them, doesn't it? Because then they can continue bleeding Africa of its wealth. But you know, time for change. Africa is not poor. It might be poor in terms of ideas and how to beat the enemy so that it can keep control of its resources, but it certainly is not poor. We're changing that narrative here, and it's time for change. It is time for change. Let's hear some solutions. Let me go around the panel now because I am looking for solutions. Sister Sheila, we need some solutions. Let's hear from you, my sis. If you were president for the day, what would some of your solutions be?
My solutions, first and foremost, is to see what others that have walked this path have done. And we always start with slavery abolition. And we also start with colonialism, independence from colonialists. So I will speak with authority about independence from colonialism because this is what we experienced in Kenya. So we had Britain or British or whatever, the colonial terrorists. They call them colonial masters. They're not masters, they're terrorists. Or parasites, because they hold on to their host and they don't let go. So we had colonial parasites in the country, and we managed to kick them out. And there was no social media, there was no Facebook or Instagram or radio shows or any of this, but somehow people came together. The Mau Mau and many other people came together, and they managed to kick them out and keep them marching. And around that time, you see, there was a wave between the late 50s and early 60s. You find that all the African countries, which are all demarcations by the oppressors, they all got independence at the same time. It was like a wave. So you find Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Ghana, all those countries together, they were all getting independence. So it was all a wave. It was all a wave that was happening. And all these colonial parasites were all leaving. So clearly there was a movement that was there, and the people came together. We should not even for 1 minute think that the colonial parasites sat down and said, let us leave Africa behind and let's go back to our countries. No, they were kicked out. They were running for their lives. They had to run. Meaning that we came together as a people, or our ancestors, and it's not far away because this is in the 60s. So the people that lived during that time are still alive. My parents were born. They're still there. So they clearly did something right. And remember, they did not have as many resources as we have now, as Brother Kwame said in the beginning. They managed to kick the oppressors out. Same thing with slavery. For our people who were taken from Africa and were enslaved, they managed to have slavery abolished. And it was not something that the slave masters came together and said, right, let us abolish slavery. No, it was fights and us putting on a front. And that is why slavery happened. So here we are right now. And we find that they left and we became comfortable, as Brother Kwame had said. And Sister Ma also mentioned we became comfortable. And now Sister Ma is the one that said most. We became comfortable. Now we find ourselves in this situation whereby we are having mental slavery and we are having neocolonialism. So we've got a different form of it. So it is time to get rid of this colonial software from our minds. And this is a mental thing. We start at the mental place. So the solution here is, first of all, to have that awareness. And Sister Shanice, you did ask, do we know who our enemies are? Do we know who our friends are? The question I also asked, do we know who we are? Do we know what ails us? Do we know what our problem is? So we have to go back to that place of understanding ourselves, understanding our history. It always starts with understanding our story. What is the story that we're being told, and by whom? And once we have that awareness about ourselves, and this awareness starts from what we eat, what we think, what we feel, what we hear, what we taste, who we are, every little thing, we look at it. And that makes a picture of who we are. And once we have that awareness at that individual level, it translates into the family level. And once it translates into the family level, then you start attracting the same kind of friends and you start having these conversations. And before you know it, we're changing mindsets, we are healing ourselves, we are changing the narrative. And then when we call people and say, let's get united to kick out colonial parasites and colonial software from our heads, it just flows smoothly. So the solution is awareness. Know thyself. I give thanks.
Give thanks, Sister Sheila. Know thyself. Absolutely. You know, delete that virus of a software from our minds. Get back into our African minds so we can move forward as one. Oh, Mark, good to bring you back in. Let's hear some solutions from you.
So I'll take off from Sister Sheila. Once you know yourself, you should also recognize that in yourself, God made it such, the Creator made it such that you replenish yourself. All our knowledge is in our DNA. All our knowledge is there intact. That's why it's being targeted. Because when they removed our artifacts, when they took us away, took our names, took our religion, took everything, somehow they still were not able to kill us. The minute they give us a little bit of breathing space, all the molecules keep coming back and forming what it is like. It's like an amoeba. It changes, but it comes right back to whatever it wants to be. So they figured out that there is something. We're made thorough and perfect. So they start targeting the DNA with the food, targeting. Look at some people when they get those artifacts back from the different places, they start remembering things. It start making sense. They look at those carvings and see that they used to be able to make the nose and the shape of the mouth and everything. That means we had some kind of technology, because you have to use real fine tools to make the lip to, you know. So you start asking, you start knowing that we have been before. So that start coming back because we have a DNA that has a memory bank that you cannot wipe. So our way forward is having become aware of these things and knowing thyself and knowing that you have it in you, and it's even what is prompting you to tell them, bring my stuff back, bring my stuff back. Then you have to recognize that the enemy is real, is living among us. Part of that enemy is our own black-skinned people with a white mind. And they are, before we start trying to target the white man that is far away, we need to target those black-skinned people with white minds. An example will be, you can see Ghana today. We talk about Ghana, how they're doing better, to the point that the diaspora wants to move, and Ghana is one of the most favorable places to go. But how did Ghana become that way? Though I think, I don't know too much about Ghanaian history, but I'm imagining that there was a time when they had to get rid of some of those people. I don't know the history, so I won't speak too boldly. But I will speak enough to know that some people that were holding captive certain aspects of Ghana had to be gotten rid of. If you look around Africa now, in Cameroon, we are trying to get rid of our own. It's been there for 40 years. So these things we have to, once you know thyself, still recognize that there is a physical obstacles, that the people that are attacking us have allies among us. Enemies within. These enemies have to go. And sometimes it might have to be, we'll use a little bit of their own medicine to get rid of them. I don't want to be talking too much. We will have to do that. We cannot, everything is on the table. All weapon, all, what do I mean? All tools in getting rid of our enemies are on the table. No tool should be taken off. If you cannot do it with our voodoo, we'll do it and by any other means. So that's where I will end my.
Shay, rise up, rise up. We're talking about our survival. Oh, Queen Najah, solutions, please.
So there was somebody who made a comment and they asked, but why would the Moise's wife want him dead? And the question is the same as why would anybody want their president dead? Or and mind you, here when we're talking about if it was anybody else, where in criminal, when we're talking about criminal justice, if a man dies, the first person that they look at is the wife, always. So why would this happen? This would happen because of what Sister Sheila you said and what Ma you said, that we have forgotten who we are as a people. And therefore, because we have forgotten who we are as a people, we listen to those other people. And we want material.
Why do this to me?
We want their culture. You know, we want their way of life, the lies and this and that. We just don't know our culture. If we knew who we were, we would not seek to be lesser than we are. We would not go and seek and believe that we are like them and that we need to rely on all this material elitism, capitalism, you know, all this appropriation of culture, which they've taken our culture and they've given us, I don't know what they've given us. They've given us a lot of evil stuff. I can say that. Okay. So the reason that this happens always is because we do not know who we are. Because when we know who we are, we cannot go against ourselves. So for me, the solution is always this, that we need to go back to understanding who we are and to go back into our history. And just like Mayu said, we need to get our stuff back so that we can look at it and realize, oh, you mean my grandfathers made this? You mean my great-grandmothers made this? You mean so-and-so made this? So who am I? Because it also wakes up our memories. And once our memories start waking up, they start flowing faster and faster and faster. And then we begin to get a realization of whom we are. So that is what I would like to close with today. That wherever we are, we need to know whom we are as melanated people, as African people, whether we are on the continent or whether we are in the Caribbean or whether we are in the Americas. We need to get to know who we are.
Ashe, Ashe. Thank you so much. Dr. Abu, solutions from you, my brother. Our sis says we need to get to know who we are, how great we are as a people. What say you, my brother?
Good family. But first we have to acknowledge where we are also and what we are going through. I said it. A majority of African people is hook on white privilege. They are junkie. They are addicted to white privilege and they will kill one another for white privilege. You know? And we must be honest with ourselves, blood, because I said, I am recovering from white privilege addiction. And that's, how can I get over addiction if you don't acknowledge that you were addicted? All the tests that we do in life is to please white people. And we sit here day by day and don't acknowledge the addiction that we are going to. We sit down every day and wait for white people to fix we. And then really fixing us good. And turning Michael into Michelle overnight and we sit down the not even see what go on. We are addicted, blood. We are addicted. We go to school to tell life for European. That's how we were educated, to tell life for European and tell life from our own Africanness. That's why I am not ashamed to say Vodum Da'a Sodai. Because we have to see things in a clear vision more than this confusion we're in. Vodum, all the time.
Vodum, rise up, Dr. Abu. And just a few words from you, Brother Kwame, solutions.
Thank you very much. I think we just have to understand that there is a connection. That is what I was trying to lay out, that there's a connection between that struggle in Haiti and the struggle in Africa, Tanzania. There is this thing which has come up, which is called the Rapid Africa Plan. The Rapid Africa Plan is about us reconstructing Africa. There is stumbling blocks which we are going to encounter on the way, but the structure has been planned. It has been built by Professor Huntington, where is like the foundation on which we are going to build a new Africa. But we need the youth to rally behind this movement, and that is what we are working on right now. It is about reconstructing Africa within the next 30 years. So we need everyone. We need the hands on the deck. We need all the support, and that is the purpose of the All Africa People Alliance, which Sister Shanice has been talking about. So this is the struggle we are engaged in. We have enough resources now than ever before compared to our ancestors to wage this struggle. And the African people have awakened. When you look around the world, Dr. Henry Clark told us that the African people, when they revolt in masses. So that is what you are seeing in Haiti. That is what you are seeing in the Black Lives Matter. That is what you are seeing in Mali. That is what you are seeing in Kenya when people rebel and they don't want the IMF to give loans. That is what you are seeing in South Africa right now. That is what you are seeing in Ghana, all over Senegal. So this is the African people saying that we are tired of neocolonialism. And we are saying that the solution is here. The Rapid Africa Plan is here, is what we are going to use to reconstruct a new Africa. So we just need everyone to come and support, especially the youth. We need the youth. The plans have been crafted already. The executive, is being worked on, but we need the youth to support it. And then the power of the youth and the support of the youth is the one which is going to remove this stumbling block, these enemies who are standing in our way of rebuilding a new Africa to what we want it to be in the next 30 years or 20 years. So I want to thank you very much. Thank you, Sister Shanice. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Family. So we're all saying the same thing. We are tired of being tired. We are tired of living and owning the richest piece of real estate in the world, yet not benefiting from its riches. It's now time to build a new Africa, and that Africa has to be a borderless Africa, a united Africa, an Africa that has one currency, is for one people, has one army, has one economic system, one educational system that teaches us to know ourselves, to know thyself, that enables us to, rekindle the memory that we have in our DNA so that we can recognize our greatness. Let's never forget, family, as we close today, that we as Africans, we are the ones that educated the world. We civilized the world. We brought civilization to the world. We gave the world the sciences. We gave the world, the writing, the alphabet, mathematics, astronomy, medicine. Everything that came from us, came from our creativity. And if we were left alone as a people, to be able to develop and grow our countries, the legacy of President Magufuli, I think, is testimony to what we could do in a very, very short space of time. So for now, we are leaving you our wonderful, wonderful audience. We want to thank you so, so much for your participation, and we leave you reminding you that we are great as Africans, always have been, always will be. Do not believe the hype. Do not believe the narrative that suggests that we are poor. Do not believe the narrative that says that we're impoverished. Don't believe the narrative that says that we can't do. This is just, white indoctrination to justify their continued exploitation of our land, of our resources, and their imposition on us as Africans. And so, let's leave in knowing the giants that we are. If you don't believe me, go and look at those huge monolithic sculptures that we carved all around the world, not just in Egypt, but all around the world. So for now, we're leaving you, family, but we will be back on Saturday, actually, for the Rapid Africa Plan conference. Please do go to Eventbrite and book for that event. You can go there right now. Just go to Eventbrite and search for Rapid Africa Plan. Actually search for the All African People's Alliance Congress. That's going to be on Saturday, and I've posted the link to that in the chat. Also, there's another link for another very important event that's going to be happening on the Sunday, the 25th of July. We're going to be talking about reparations, reparatory justice, to repair the damage that has been done to us as a people, wherever we are in the world. So the links are in the chat. Please do click them and join us. We see you on Saturday. We see you again on Sunday. It's going to be about solutions. And then we will be back here, all being well, next Wednesday, where we're having an important discussion about land and the importance of land to us as a people, and also looking at it within the context of what's going on in South Africa and Kiswahili. It's really. Okay, rise up, family. More love, more power. Thank you, panel. More voodoo.
Bye-bye.
Next strong. More love.
Next strong.
More love. More voodoo power.